You are looking live at the Nasdaq daily chart. The Nasdaq advanced 148 points today, or 0.95%, in lighter volume, 16% lighter than the average daily volume. The index is now trading, I think, about 5.7% above its 50. Yeah, 5.7% above its 50, 2.8 above its 21, and 1.5% above the 10, which is this green line here. Pulled back recently to the 21 and found support, which seems to be a pattern here. We know once it gets about 6% above the 50, it starts getting a little cranky. So it's getting up there once again. But, this is a pretty relentless rally here, and it's a little long in the tooth. This is about 14 weeks, but it just keeps going. So you just go with it. And also the leading stocks will tell you, you don't need to look much past the leading stocks of what's going on in the market. I'm going to get to that in a minute, and I'm just going to go through the Mag 6 first, the Super 6. I'm going to include Apple. It's got this thing's kind of a mess now. It's got this cup with handle pattern. Now it's developing this double bottom pattern as it traded down to its 200, meeting resistance here at the 50, and it's got a buy point there at 196. Apple, though, with its no growth, program, it's pretty tough to, get in that one. If, when you're in a market rally, you want the stronger leading stocks. Microsoft, plowing ahead, did not make an all-time high today, I don't think, at the 415. Close, though, very close. Microsoft, near an all-time high, was up another 2% today. Meta Platforms had that big rally on Friday, pull back on Monday and Tuesday, and then rally back again above the prior days. And this is starting to look like a short stroke pattern, but we'll have to wait and see how that develops. For Meta Platforms, got a couple more days left in the week too. Amazon, it rallied with Meta, and then it just kind of flattened out. Didn't give much back at all. That looks like a short stroke as well. My goodness. Probably not enough on the upside on Amazon. Meta for sure. Google, let me go back to the daily chart. Pull back to the 50. Now it's rallied through its moving averages. Up 1% today. A little, slower mover than the other ones. One that's not, and when I talk about leading stocks, you got to include NVIDIA. Closed at an all-time high today. The high was 702.20, closed above 700. After hours, it's up. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But this is what I'm talking about. You don't need to look at the S&P or the Dow. You just look at your leading stocks. This thing's just plowing ahead in a power trend. The 10, the 21, the 50 are just trading higher. You don't have to hold it very long to make money. Just climbing higher there. And forget the narrative about overvalued. Somebody's buying this stock and it's moving higher. So, don't argue with the tape. AMD is another one. Pull back to the 21 and bounce last week. Pull back to the 21 and bounce this week. I'm looking for a bigger bounce tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see on AMD, but it looks pretty good. Broadcom, just an inside day today, even though it was up nearly 3%. It's up in after hours also, which I said I will get to in a minute. MRVL, this one's on our ready list here. I like the setup in this one. It was up 3.5% today. Just long consolidation. That's what I like. Long periods of consolidation and ready to move higher, in my humble opinion. A couple of the other names I'm going to throw in there with this group. SMCI, definitely, this is what I'm talking about. Your leading stocks, if they're performing well, no sense in arguing, right? There's nothing to do here but just, watch it go higher. You can see these moving averages just reaching for the stars here. And that green line, that 10 EMA thing was going up about $20 a day here. Today it was at 581. Yesterday it was at 558. So, $23 a day. So it's not going to take long for it to catch up, especially if it pulls back or just trades sideways for a day or two. POWL Industries, they reported earnings last week, and it's just continuing its rampage higher. I know some people don't like this stock because it doesn't have enough, volume, but I like price appreciation, and that stock has it. Vertiv pulled back to its 10 yesterday and then had an inside day today. So those stocks look good as well. I got to go to the software names because software had like a delayed reaction. Excuse me. I was saying yesterday that Palantir didn't have the cachet to raise all the software names because they kind of stalled yesterday, but today they were out in full force, and this is an impressive tack on rally to this big move from yesterday. A 30% move. You think it's going to give some back, right? Nope, up another 8% today, and look at the volume coming in. It takes this type of massive demand to move this this big battleship with all these shares here that they came to market with. But this right here is textbook stuff here. Base on base breakout up 38% this week. Thank you very much, with massive volume. That is a move not to be ignored, Dan. All right. But it did carry over today to some of these other stocks, like Snowflake was up 2%. I'm just going to go through these quickly because I go through them almost every day and you kind of know where they're sitting at. Datadog, they report on the 13th. It was up 1% today, closed near the low of the session. That they're going to have to report strong numbers. I showed you Snow, right? Monday or Snow. Okay. This one made a new high today, 220. Very nice. Monday's looking good. Datadog, I showed you. Net is one that I had on my ready list. Just popped off that 50 SMA. Nice little move today, up 2% with volume. They report earnings. What's the 8th? Tomorrow. Okay. So we'll have to wait and see what they have to say tomorrow. Spotify was on our ready list last week. This thing popped higher, and now it's flexing its muscles. Look at the volume coming in on this one. They just reported earnings recently. Spotify looks fantastic. I got to go to the drug stocks. I'm talking about Eli Lilly. They report a phenomenal quarter. And what happened? What happened? It opened up higher. Look at this big gap higher, sold off all day and closed lower. Earnings reactions are so quirky and such a crapshoot these days. I think it's due to the Reg FD, but whatever. I mean, today it got 3% back and really where it belongs. But it was just an inside day after the massive move yesterday. It was up 742 yesterday. So Lilly, just delivering strong numbers, strong earnings, strong sales, and had a weird reaction. Novo Nordisk traded an all-time high today. This is just a real quiet trader. It usually just gaps up or gaps down and just kind of stays there. But it gets quite a bit of volume. I will say that it had over 6 million shares traded today, and it had a nice move up nearly 1%. I just, a stock that I really like, one of my leading stocks. Merck had a nice response to its earnings report and is just trending higher. You got to look at the weekly report chart on this one. You can see this is textbook stuff with a cup-based, consolidation, 3 weeks tight, then boom, traded higher for Merck. Okay, I've got to get to the retail names because retail is one of my favorite areas. In Chipotle Mexican Grill traded near an all-time high yesterday. You think, oh man, it's at an all-time high, it's going to pull back after earnings. Nope, it was up it was more than 7%. 2,666. They need a stock split here. They should split 10 for 1 and trade it like $266. Anyway, that's 7% move for Chipotle. I was wondering if it would have the cachet to move some of the other stocks, and apparently Chipotle does. Wingstop up more than 2% today, making an all-time high as well. I believe it's an all-time high. Don't make me a liar, Wingstop. Yes. Wingstop at an all-time high. And another restaurant stock, Texas Roadhouse. Nice move up nearly 3% at a new high as well, with above average volume. So those look good. Celsius, this one's trying to dig its way out of this is a long period of consolidation. Now it's through its moving averages. I like this one. I like the brand. I like the drinks, and I like the stock. It's just I don't like it below its moving averages. I like it much better now. I think that's a buy right here. Depends which way you want to look at it. I'd say 58, 54 is definitely an area. If it can get above, it erases all this, overhead supply, which I don't really worry too much about because people just trade in and out of stock so fast these days. There's hardly any such thing as an overhead supply. And ELF, I want to go to ELF. ELF had a strange reaction to a powerhouse earnings report, accelerating sales growth. They're getting into CVS and Walmart, and it sold off. It got like 3 or 4 upgrades, and here's your 5-minute chart. Gap down, some buyers come in, ride it higher, and then it sold off into the close. Something tells me this one's probably going to trade higher going forward. We'll have to see. It trades really strange. Recently it got downgraded and had this big volume pullback here, and it went into the mid cap 400. It went from the small cap to the mid cap, which seems like a promotion, but it sold off on volume. And now we had volume back in today on the sell side. So we're gonna have to wait and see on ELF. It's definitely one of my larger holdings, and I was a little disappointed personally that it didn't run like Chipotle or some of these other stocks after earnings report, because that was a phenomenal report. Anyway, I'm gonna move on to another one of my larger holdings is CrowdStrike, and then this one broke out of this base, and this is what I'm talking about, like in a bull market. This thing just formed a little shelf pattern, waiting for the moving averages to catch up. And if you're impatient and start chasing other stocks and you sell this one, then you miss out on this 5% move here with volume today. And CrowdStrike made an all-time high. So, to me, it's real easy to sit on this one, and it's going to outperform, I believe. The reason why these things went up, I think, was Fortinet's surprising earnings report. Fortinet was up nearly 4% with heavy volume today, so that was a nice move for Fortinet. Still in the buy area, and then Palo Alto, kind of like Crowd, where it had this shelf type pattern. I had that buy point there at 350, now it's at 364, so a nice 6% move for Palo Alto Networks. And Zscaler, pulled back to the 21, now a nice 4% move today. So those cybersecurity stocks look fantastic. The leisure movies stock, Netflix, that should look familiar here. A little shelf pattern as it pulls back to the 10. I like that a lot. I would like to see it get through this, 575 area, but I don't know. It might be moving on that Disney report tonight. I'll have to wait and see. But Netflix looks good. Airbnb, somebody asked me to look at this. I'm not too excited about that. It is pinching in above the 21. That looks okay. DraftKings, the leisure gaming equipment, should be pretty busy here for the Super Bowl, but up 2% move. This was on our ready list, I think, last week, but it's extended here out of that double bottom base and moving higher. And anyway, that's it for me today. I'll be back tomorrow, except for I lied. I have one more thing. I want to mention Disney, which was on our ready list. Even though it had earnings, I put it on there, and it's popping tonight more than 7%. So it's going to trade above that 100 level. Looks like about 106 tomorrow. So Disney looks good. Congrats to the longs. WYNN, speaking of gambling and DraftKings, WYNN up 3.5% after hours above that 100 level. So that looks good for tomorrow as well. CFLT, Confluence, computer software, up nearly 15% after hours. This thing has been down. You can see it gapped lower last time after earnings. Now it's gapping higher. Tomorrow's action. And the last one is ARM Holdings. And I think this is what could be driving your, AMD and NVDA and the semiconductors tomorrow. This is, it's got an 80 billion market cap, and tomorrow it's going up. Well, looks like it's going to open like 25% higher or more, up 97. So it's going to be challenging the 100 level, and that's going to be a gap out of an IPO base, essentially right there, a gap higher. It's going to be way the heck up here tomorrow. So no, I'm not going to chase it here, but I'm going to watch it tomorrow. $98. No, that's not a for me. But I will be watching it. And it's just trading higher here as I sit here and ramble on, ramble away. Now it's above 98. So lots of buying interest in ARM holding. Anyway, that's it for me today. Thank you for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. Stick with the winners, stick with the leaders, stock pickers market. We're in the right stocks. Thank you very much. Never give up.